Okay, so it's been a long while since my last Taiwan Insider video. Apologies for the long delay. This was something I first thought of making a few comments on 3 years ago, but as far as videos are concerned, I've mostly been busy on my main YouTube channel. Now, with yet another typhoon season upon us, I thought I'd better finally get on with it. But bear with me. I think I have quite a bit of useful information about Taiwan, gleaned in the decades since I first arrived here in 1986. If you're new to Taiwan, or even if you've been here for quite a while, you may find some of it useful. So, this is the first of several videos about Taiwan's news media, and the originally planned breakdown of Taiwan's ethnic makeup will be pushed a little further down the road. In this video, I'm going to talk about tropical cyclones and nothing else, which may seem like a strange way to introduce Taiwan's news media. But again, bear with me and you'll soon see this is quite relevant. So, the short answer to the question, when is a typhoon not a typhoon, is, very often but not always, when it is reported as a typhoon by Taiwan's Chinese language news media. Incredible as it may seem, Taiwan's Central Met Bureau actually officially uses the term typhoon for tropical cyclones of significantly less than typhoon intensity. So this is not entirely a news media issue, but if you're living in Taiwan and learning Chinese, you're unlikely to be accessing the Central Met Bureau reports directly. Rather, you'll watch, hear, or read the news. The Central Meteorological Administration has created a category unique to Taiwan called a mild typhoon, Mild Typhoon. It doesn't report that in English, probably because the discrepancy with other countries would be a bit embarrassing and difficult to explain. This term is intended strictly for domestic consumption. For English reports, it sticks to the World Met Organization's grading. So, first let's take a look at the way tropical cyclones are categorized by the WMO. Here is the most basic grading scheme. We start with a low-pressure area, often called a disturbance. Then comes a tropical depression, a tropical storm, a severe tropical storm, then a typhoon. This is the basic model, but some countries subdivide the typhoon category. So here you can see that in the Philippines there's a second typhoon category called super typhoon, and some other weather bureaus have also adopted that. Here's the Japanese categorization, and this is pretty standard for the region. Note that typhoons weigh in at 119 kilometers per hour in both systems. This is virtually universal. Anything less than that is not regarded as a typhoon. And here is the Taiwan CMB grading system, although Taiwan's news media will often refer to even tropical depressions as typhoons. Anywhere outside Taiwan, there's no such thing in meteorology as a mild typhoon. You could take an advanced degree in the subject and never encounter it. You'd be hard-pressed to even think of a clearer contradiction in terms than a mild typhoon. Gentle tornado, perhaps? So, although various countries have subdivided the typhoon category, these are all undeniably typhoons. As far as I know, only in Taiwan are tropical cyclones of less than typhoon intensity also called typhoons. Here, tropical cyclones with wind speeds of 65 kilometers per hour, barely more than half of that of the World Met Organization and most other countries' definition, are officially called typhoons. Most of Taiwan's Chinese news media often take this a step further and simply refer to any tropical cyclone, including a tropical depression, as a typhoon. Why would they do this? The answer is very simple. They do it for the same reason that they often predict typhoon trajectories at odds with those of the region's weather bureaus. To shout out in a headline that a typhoon may strike Taiwan, gets a lot more views than just stating that a tropical depression is not likely to affect Taiwan. Probably the worst offender here is Yahoo's Taiwan site, although there are plenty of others. Anyway, all this paves the way for much confusion as to how strong a tropical cyclone actually is. If you're learning Chinese in Taiwan and you get the news in both English and Chinese, or get both local and overseas news, you'll probably be as confused about this as I once was. For example, here's a 自由时报 Liberty Times report from August 2022, claiming that there had already been 8 typhoons in the year at that time. But looking at Wikipedia, you see in fact that there had only been 2. I hasten to point out, however, that just because something reported in Taiwan as being a typhoon when in fact it isn't, doesn't mean it's nothing. Some of the heaviest rains and worst flooding I've seen in Taiwan have been brought about by tropical depressions, not typhoons. Don't underestimate the damage and danger these storms can pose. Anyway, that's a pretty long-winded analysis of something of only limited interest. However, my main points here are 2. First, that there are still some weird and quirky things generally accepted by the vast majority of people here, which are at odds with the outside world. Second, Taiwan's Chinese language news media will often make very exaggerated claims if they feel they can get away with it, in order to get more clicks or reads. I'll talk more about Taiwan's news media in the next video.